That didn't free the women of Iran. I'm just
saying, you're popping champagne. Oh, Trump, I'm taking my victory lap over here, and I think it's a little premature. So that's all I'm saying.
Victory lap. Who's for American? Which of us is popping champagne? Listen, I mean, the reality.
America's going to go into the whacking business to make sure no nation has the capacity to have a nuclear weapon. How much whacking can we do? How much whacking can you do?
It's in our interest.
At least those nations. Hillary Green, frankly, is afraid of American power, and that's why she and Tom Massey are just wrong. They're not real Republicans. They want to talk about fake Republicans. They're the fake Republicans. Republicans have always been about...
But I want a free Iran. I also want our social safety net and our kids taken care of. And I think it's right for Marjorie Taylor Greene to ask that question.
You know, this idea that...
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this segment. Take a look at how angry Scott Jennings gets when his stupidity and excitement gets called out. This cultish devotion to Trump is just nauseating to see. Check this out, and we'll talk about it.
Tense points is the idea of an Iranian regime change coming as a result of all of this. Trump yet again floated that possibility on social media. He wrote, quote, "If the current regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be regime change?" But that is not the message.
Remember that post
That we heard from the administration this weekend.
Our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime change.
This mission was not and has not been about regime change.
This wasn't a regime change move.
And Trump's post contradicts what he himself said just last month while he was in Saudi Arabia.
This great transformation has not come from Western interventionalists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. The so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves.
That was a welcome message, Pete, when he delivered it in the Middle East, when he gave that speech. And it was unusual because he was critiquing really his own party. I mean, if you go back to these conflicts, Afghanistan in 2001, that intervention, that regime change ended up with the Taliban back in power. Iraq, 2003, that regime change ended up with ISIS in power. Libya, 2011, now a failed state. So there's not really a good history of regime change, but I can't really tell where Trump actually is on this question because he's all over the place.
Well, I disagree that he's advocating that the United States orchestrates regime change. So he is not contradicting anyone in the administration, and he's not contradicting himself. Instead, he's signaling to the Iranian people that their window of opportunity to do it themselves is open. Just like our window of opportunity to eliminate their nuclear sites opened and we acted, the opportunity is now here. You look at the actions of the Iranian leadership, they already have their head on a swivel. They're worried that this could happen. The supreme leader is hiding somewhere in a bunker, just like Saddam Hussein cowardly was in a spider hole for 235 days. He is worried about what will happen in his own country. So today's attack, the missiles that they launched today, this symbolic, telegraphed, ineffective, intentionally ineffective campaign of sending missiles was all propaganda for a domestic audience to say, we attacked Great Satan, we took the fight to them, knowing full well that absolutely nothing was going to happen.
Abby's right.
And look what happened. Look what came from attack or killing Saddam Hussein. Like, this is these imbeciles and this cabinet. I mean, they're just all too weak to push back against Trump. And you're seeing all these Republicans one by one following in line. Dumbo, the MAGA pundit from yesterday's video, said there would be no regime change and that we were all delusional for even talking about it. Like, this is just incredible. The reason for this is it's always the same because none of them have any true principles. It's whatever their dear leader wants. They know Trump will outcast them, demonize them, and make sure the voters despise them. From there, you lose your talk show appearances, inevitably your wealth and status. That's why they all bend like the spineless little snakes they are. No principles, no true values.
We have such a mixed history with regime change and getting involved in these conflicts. And I think the American people voted for their president to care about them and to focus on them, which is why you're seeing so much division. Now, there are hawks in both parties, Democrats and Republicans, who are saying, now's the time, change Iran, change it forever. The question is what comes next, and I don't think we know that answer.
Well, a minute ago, you were upset that
this
The
bomb
women
dropping didn't free the women of Iran. I'm just trying to figure out where
you're popping champagne. Oh, Trump, I'm taking my victory lap over here, and I think it's a little premature. That's all I'm saying.
Victory lap for American Which
leadership.
of us is popping champagne? Listen, I mean, the reality is this was a targeted strike designed to do one thing and one thing only. Stop these butchers from having a nuclear weapon, period. There's no regime change.
That's what
there's
they
no,
say
There's
today.
no what comes next.
But
what
Trump
comes
has
next
confused
is up
it.
to the people of Iran. And what comes next is whether Iran and Israel abide by the terms of a ceasefire and have a negotiated peace. I hope that they all can get to the table and do it. But it's the Middle East, and it's difficult.
And I don't think
Abby, you should check his ass for that one. He is such a little piece of trash, obviously insinuating that she is, what, drunk? Because she mocked his and Fox News stupidity and this cultish devotion, this excitement. Oh, Trump won. This is what Scott always does. He gets so upset when a woman talks to him like that. I would love to see him do that to a Bakari Sellers or a Solomon Jones, who's on the show a good amount of times, with a personal insult like that. This is why I say this. These kinds of things. This is the party of women shouldn't talk back, but also the party of, yes, sir, I'll shut up and be a good little boy. Conservatives are just so pathetic. How you are a man and look at the conservative party, Republicans, and be like, yeah, these are the real men, is truly one of the funniest phenomenons to me. But hey, by definition, if you are a Republican, you are easily fooled and tricked.
The problem is, though, I think you'd agree with this now, that when you attack a nation like Iran, the quickest lesson one learns is to make sure you now have a nuclear weapon so you're never attacked again. That's the only reason why Israel got its weapon in 1966. That's why North Korea got its weapon. That's why France got its weapon. That's why the United States and Russia got their weapon. And for those of us to go all the way back to the United States to kill 250 million people in 2 days in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's not a high moral moment for the American.
So Jamil, what do you make of that? I mean, he's
Does
saying
that make sense,
that
brother?
by attacking Iran, you could push them even further into a decision to actually have a weapon.
Look, I don't disagree that one lesson that a lot of countries that threshold nuclear states are going to take away is don't remain a threshold state. If you were on the path to get a nuclear weapon, go get one. North Korea did that. They established themselves. It's hard for anybody to attack them. That being said, what this also says is if you're going to try to be a threshold nuclear state, you better watch out because you'll get whacked. Don't even try. Don't go down this road. So I'd rather take that lesson. It is true that it is going to make some nations more likely when they get close to jump straight to it. But that is not the right answer. And this whole thing, by the way, the DNI has said for now the better part of a decade and a half about the leadership decision-making in Iran, it is completely ridiculous that you would allow a country to get to a valid weapons design, enough enriched uranium to create a nuclear device and a ballistic missile delivery capability, and then say, well, we're not going to do anything about it because their leadership hasn't decided to go. Because when they're at that point, when they make the decision, it's a day, it's a week, it's a month. There is not enough time to strike. You can't wait for the decision.
Too late.
It's too late.
Cornel West hit it right on the head. In math, we call this game theory. One's decision is best made by the decision of what other participants make. So when the U.S. and Israel, unprovoked, just attack Iran like that, who our own intelligence agency said that they were not working on developing nuclear weapons, how does Iran guarantee their existence in the future when we're just attacking them unprovoked? How do they know that the next attack by Israel and the U.S. won't wipe them out? Imagine if someone did that to us. What would we do to make sure we don't ever get attacked like that again? Actually, remember what happened when we got hit in 9/11? We put a hole in the Middle East. Like, these war-hungry morons will have you think that terrorists are born and it's genetic, not that they were created by our own devastations that we cause.
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, America's going to go into the whacking business to make sure no nation has a capacity to have a nuclear weapon. How much whacking can we do? How much whacking can you do?
It's in our interest.
At least those nations that say they want to destroy
whack ourselves away.
That have supported terrorism for 4 decades, killed thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I would never defend the Iranian regime. I'm not defending them, not at all. I'm talking about being morally consistent.
This is why people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are still,
yes,
as we sit here, in the MAGA camp, but saying what Dr. West is saying, where does this end? You said that you weren't going to go into any wars, and now here we are.
Yeah, but I mean,
This isn't a
we're not at
war.
war.
It was a targeted strike.
Trump says it was.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene is
Democrats
right.
are saying it's a
And
war.
meanwhile, like we're cutting food stamps, we're cutting we're cutting our social safety net here, and we are spending money on this attack. So the question is, was it necessary, and is it in the Americans' interest? Now, do I, as a woman, want women of Iran to be free? 100%. Do I think that they're getting Trump's Truth Social post tonight, and that's going to motivate them to rise up? I'm not so sure it works like that, but I want a free Iran. I also want our social safety net and our kids taken care of. And I think it's right for Marjorie Taylor Greene to ask that question.
You know, this idea that
Scott literally has no point to make, just making faces like she's saying something so crazy. He's always ready to jump and make a stupid point, but he just makes these weird faces. Honestly, there's something deeply disturbed with that dude. Something ain't right with him. Besides the obvious things, like his undiagnosed racism Tourette that he can't seem to help from coming out either. Unbelievable.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is right, I think is totally bunk. Marjorie Taylor Greene is just wrong.
She's
the
crazy.
reality is that other nations of the world understand one thing. They understand power. Pete is exactly right. America demonstrated power. It demonstrated we're not going to take it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, frankly, is afraid of American power, and that's why she and Tom Massey are just wrong. They're not real Republicans. They want to talk about fake Republicans. They're the fake Republicans. Republicans have always been about American national security and using American power to create deterrence to the world. That's what Reagan meant when he said peace through strength. He did not mean the nonsense that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tom Massey and all the other ultra-MAGA Republicans, and frankly, it is good that President Trump has stepped away from that part of the Republican Party. He is right to step away. He should stay far away from it. They are all wrong.
It's interesting that you said that because we've talked about this before. I mean, Trump has, in doing this, Trump is shifting away from that part of the party that he created and cultivated, and that's a big shift in his MAGA coalition. So we'll see if they come with him. Some people like Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are not, but we're just moments away now from an apparent ceasefire between Israel.
And guys, I'm going to leave it there, but it's just not, it sounds easy, right? We just attack them and they'll learn their lessons. No, people are naturally survivalists, right? They have pride. They're not going to just let you attack them and nothing happens. This is how terrorist organizations happen. This is how you start radicalizing people in your own country. Like, we're going to do the same thing over and over again. We just did this 20 years ago. Like, this is just incredible. And for 30 years, Israel has been saying that Iran is developing a nuclear weapon. Where the hell is it? Where's the evidence? I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.